Hi, everybody. Welcome back to New Moonifestations for this lunar cycle. We are working with the theme of big dreams, small steps to welcome in this glorious new moon in Virgo, full moon in Pisces. And I'm here with our resident astrologer, Sam Reynolds of Unlock Astrology. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
I'm good. Let's tell everyone a little bit about what, just generally speaking, we have a new moon, full moon. What does that mean? What does that look like for us this cycle?
It means that it's time to get our things together, right? I mean, Virgo symbolizes how we deal with preparation and efficiency and readiness. How, if we're talking about in the Northern Hemisphere at this time, we're dealing with the harvest starting to come into bloom. And so it's time to get like the wheat, that's what Virgo even symbolizes. It's a maiden with a stalk of wheat. It's to harvest and to kind of bring in.
When we look at the system of the five elements and we're moving out of the fire energy, which is where we've been for the last two cycles with the new moon in Cancer and the new moon in Leo. And the fire element in Chinese medicine philosophy is very yang, meaning it's very connected to the inspiration of the heavens, you could say. And then as we move into the earth element is really the element that takes all of that inspiration and turns it into the daily habits and the daily work that is what creates the vision manifested on earth. So it's like a birthing process, if you will, because you can have all the ideas and inspiration that you want, but if you don't do anything with it, you don't see the fruits of that labor.
It goes along with what, that book you showed me where the author has transformed the constellation of Virgo into a woman giving birth. I worked more with the motif of the virgin or maiden holding a stalk of wheat, but both relate to the idea of manifestation. And the vehicle for manifestation, as far as we are able to do right now as human beings, is through women.
I'm inviting that image into our psyche this season as we think about what am I giving birth to? And I like to say babies, books, businesses, boo things, all the bees. But whatever it is that's our big vision for our life, maybe it's, clearing up our debt, or maybe it's buying a house, or maybe it's starting a business or starting school. But whatever that big dream is, how do I break that down into daily habits that will move me towards that intention actually manifesting? How do I get it out of my head, out of the ethers, and into manifested form?
That's absolutely correct. How is your devotion measured or even manifest or seen in daily life? So we could say Pisces is more the sense of the heart, the emotional idea where the devotion really burns. But in terms of the work, how you show that and make that happen, that's Virgo. That's kind of the more daily motion where you are doing the work of tending to your devotion.
The more that we talk and share, you start to see where all of these paths intersect. But the spirit of the earth element is the yi. It's called the yi, or the intention, but really it's about devotional practice. And so my mentor that I've worked with for several years, Lori Deshar, talks about how the glyph for yi is like, it's the glyph for the heart with a music note. And she describes it as singing the song of the heart. How do you carry the intention of the heart into a daily regimen or a daily ritual? So even when you mentioned the wheat and the farmer, it's like how the farmer, without any sense of, grandeur, will get up every day and tend to the crops. And you're doing that with the work that we're manifesting this cycle. It's like we're doing the maybe it's fun, but maybe it's not so fun of, tending to the crop of what it is that we're trying to birth and grow and manifest.
Yeah, I heard a saying that relates to this. Do the ritual and God will do the work, right?
Ooh. And the ritual could be like, it's the repetitive daily practice. As we wake up every day and say, okay, this is my big dream. And then I'm inviting us in this cycle of Pisces to let that big dream be big, like, something that is intangible, but like you said, it's the emotion that we have a strong passion for it. And then how do we break that into specific steps? And we're going to work with, through this lunar cycle, an exercise that I call 20 for 20. So that's a little sneak peek. We'll be breaking down that big vision into smaller steps, and using that as one of our rituals for the cycle.
To kind of tie it in with what we talked about last cycle when we were talking about Leo and Aquarius. Virgo is taking the raw power of Leo and basically fine-tuning it, giving it direction, giving it some means by which it can develop and sustain itself. Wow. So that's the other thing, because a lot of people may rely on raw power, and the guts, and not have the sustainability, to kind of support it.
Can you say a little bit about the polarity of Virgo and Pisces, how they're dancing together this cycle?
We might say the Virgo part is to cultivate faith and analysis and preparation, whereas the Pisces part might be to cultivate faith and involvement in spiritual, imaginative realms, like where we have these dreams that come to us. Jupiter is the planet that is commonly and traditionally associated with Pisces as the householder. And then Mercury is the planet that's associated with Virgo. So Jupiter for Pisces is how we're dealing with more the expansion in more internal realms, because that's his, what we say is night house. And that, his might even say like his winter home, right? Where he's a lot more contemplative, a lot more looking at inner worlds, whether that's the imagination, emotional understanding, all the different realms in which we kind of don't necessarily see on the surface. Whereas Virgo, for Mercury, that's also his night home, right? He's going to be a lot more contemplative, but in a different way. It's going to be like, okay, how do these different elements that I've now discovered come together? And then he might start categorizing them, analyzing them. So there's ways in which they complement each other, but it's recognizing that they're looking at different things, which I thought it was brilliant to be able to say, big dreams, small steps. It's kind of like, Jupiter with Pisces might say, let's expand and see this and make this happen. It's like, okay, one step at a time, going along with it. And both can get impatient with the other, right? It's the Pisces Jupiter signification that might be like, we're not going fast enough. And it might be, the Virgo mercurial aspect. It's like, well, that's too big, or, that's not practical enough.
I love when you were speaking about faith, because I think as we're taking these small steps, we have to hold the faith that we're moving towards a big dream, that even if we can't see it, that it's coming, or that it's in process, and that it's unfolding. And then also hold the faith that the small steps are actually going to get us there. It's still a leap of faith.
Sometimes you might need the leap, that Jupiterian leap, in order to get started. And sometimes it's a push.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might get pushed, and we don't recognize what the push looks like at the time. We get fired, someone gets fired and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And that may have been the push that started you on a whole different journey. Yeah. Right. So that was the leap. And then you have to take these micro steps, these steps to kind of get more along the path.
And to align.
Correct.
The flower essence that we're working with this cycle is called Aligned Intentions. This idea of taking the big and making sure that the actions that we're taking are in sync with the goal. And what it might awaken for us are the places where there's the steps that we're taking are not in alignment, or the steps that we're taking are actually BS. It's, it's the procrastination, it's the self-doubt, it's the perfectionism, which keeps us from taking the steps forward. So this cycle, we're going to be uncovering all of those things. We're going to be looking at the places where we talk more than we walk. And actually, if it's writing that book, it's like, okay, well, what's my daily practice going to be for this book that I'm dreaming forward? If it's, again, something big or maybe abstract that we don't have full control over the timing of, say it's like, okay, I'm going to get married. My big dream is, being married with the house and the picket fence and 2 kids or whatever the big dream is, but there's still daily actions that will either move us towards that goal or away from it. And so this cycle, we're going to be exploring all of those things.
Excellent. Yeah. And this is the time to do it.
Time to do it.
So let me relate this kind of measure of time to you that I don't think many people know. So the new moon from one particular date will relate 4 years back to a full moon by degree. Now, why is that important? Well, because you can use the full moon that's coming up as a checkpoint for where you're dealing with the new moon, right? So how are you making progress? Let's say you start a book on the new moon. Well, how's it going? What do you need to make adjustments to your schedule, things like that. Or let's say that you've been incubating a particular idea off and on for 4 years. You might check back what was happening 4 years prior. So you can look back at that full moon manifestation. You can look back at the new moon. So it's a way in which you can look at the measure of time.
And I think it's really relevant that not everything that we intend to manifest is going to happen in one lunar cycle. I love that idea that, this could be something that takes 6 years or 4 years might be the touch point, that we're.
Absolutely.
It's an invitation to think that big, but the metaphor of time.
Right.
Is what you're helping me see that Virgo helps us to tune into, like the metaphor of time.
With new Moonifestations, what you're really doing, especially as we're talking about Virgo and Pisces, is that you're building a mass. You're building not just you, but when you're looking to manifest something, like if someone is doing something, this is like another way of like aligning the mastermind idea with the moon. So it's a moon mastermind group where you're actually congregating energy in such a way that it benefits the group individually. It's like, a celestial susu, right? By which you really help put things in a pot by which each of us can draw and build energy. So I think that's an important thing to understand about the work you're doing in relation to not just the, this particular cycle, Virgo Pisces, but in relation to, dealing with the moon.
Thank you so much for saying that. So everyone, if you're joining us for New Moonifestations, this lunar cycle, if you order before the 26th, you'll get your aligned intentions, flower essences, and the special tools that we have for this month in time to start your work on the new moon. We also have an option where you can just sign up for the digital content. If you're working with your own flower essences and you want to add the science of New Moonifestations to that, we have a program for that as well. And we hope that you will join in with us and see us online this lunar cycle as you step into your big dreams with your small steps.